Okay, hello everyone. We can see that some people are already joining us. So we'll give 1 minute or 2 minutes for the latecomers to log in. Feel free to use the chat to tell us where you're from, or you can describe the weather in the place you are right now. Is it like the autumn season or is it like a spring? Is it hot and sunny? So you've got the chat at your disposal. So use the chat and share with us some elements. Okay, so we've got Georgia. Nice to see you. Nice to have you here. Sydney, Yasmin. Beginning of spring, India. Good to have you. Vietnam. So we'll get people from different corners of the world. Hello from Poland. Nice to have you here. India. Okay, so the most important element is probably, can you see the speakers and can you hear me? Probably yes, because you've replied to the questions. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. So welcome to another webinar on the I Teach PTE Academic series, the series that we launched in March, and there is one more webinar to go next month. So far, we've had a chance to have webinars on introduction to PTE Academic, on building self-efficacy, and we had the sessions on dealing with speaking, listening, writing, and reading challenges with Kamil. So then he was sharing with you the tips and strategies how to overcome challenges, skills specific. And this time we decided to bring teaching reality into the webinar, because there is no better way to learn about running a preparation course than by listening to an active PTE Academic preparation teachers. And we decided to bring teachers from different corners of the world to this webinar so that they would share with us their stories, their thoughts on running effective PTE Academic preparation courses, the stories on challenges that trainers could face, that the students face, so that we could learn and hopefully get some inspiration and some tangible knowledge that can transfer the knowledge into your own teaching reality. So grab a glass of water, cup of coffee if it's evening, sit back, you can use the chat. There is a Q&A and we'll have a look at the Q&A by the end, because then we'll have a chance to answer some of the questions asked by the participants of the webinar. So dear speakers, I'm really grateful for having you here, and I'm really grateful that you are actively engaged in running PTE Academic preparation courses. So it's not only about theory, but it's about practice, and sometimes the brutal reality. So if I could ask you for a short introduction of who you are, where you're from, just to give a nice description of you as a PTE Academic preparation teacher. Who could start? Kelly, we could go with you.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, or good evening. Okay, so my name is Kelly. I'm from Malaysia. So I've been teaching PT for up to 6 years now, and I really enjoy what I'm doing now. So quite a few years back, I started a PT training center in Malaysia. So I really love what I'm doing because it's a very satisfying job where I can help students to fulfilling their dream of studying abroad or migrating abroad. And we are Master PT is one of the leading PT training center in Malaysia.
Okay,
And a
thanks.
little
Go on,
thank you.
go on. Yeah.
Yeah, and a little bit myself. So I pick up like from time to time I pick up a new language so that I can understand our students better. So I have great passion in language. And thank you so much for having me here today. So I get to share my experience with y'all and also learn from each other.
Okay, thanks a lot. Anchal, would you introduce yourself, please? And unmute yourself.
I'm sorry for that. So hello, good morning, afternoon, and evening to everyone who has joined in for the webinar. Myself, Anshul, and I am training students for PTE from almost 7 years now. And I have trained more than 4,000 students and I have helped them to pursue their career in studying abroad or settling. And I am based out of Jalandhar and I'm training students for PTE. And it is quite passionate because this is one of the leading tests throughout the world. And every day there is something or the other that you learn from the test, you know. So absolutely, it will be a pleasure to help each one of you if in case there are any of the questions related to PTE Academic. So we'll be happy to assist you. And thank you so much, Bartek, to give the opportunity to join in the webinar as a panelist.
Okay, good to have you with us, Anshul. And Seçkin.
Hello, this is Seçkin from Turkey, Istanbul, and I've been teaching English for more than 20 years now. And I first started teaching PTE 8 years ago. But I was one of the first actually teachers by coincidence to take PTE in, I guess, 2010. It was when it was kind of being tested, piloted in Turkey. And at first, I really couldn't understand what they were doing because they were talking about like artificial intelligence. It was way too sophisticated for me to understand at that time, but now I see it. So I can say that I'm an experienced PTE instructor because I've been teaching it for the last 8 years, and I have had maybe more than 100 students, maybe more than maybe 300. So I don't know. I lost count. So I'll be happy to answer everybody's question here.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot for the introduction. And as you were sharing your brief introduction about who you are and when did you start it, initially just I have this question: what is the reason why did it happen that you got into, as Seçkin, you said like accidentally, because they were talking about artificial intelligence and what is artificial intelligence, and right now we know as we look around the world that artificial intelligence is embedded within the reality, we might say. But what is the reason? Why did you decided to start teaching PTE Academic, Kelly?
Okay, so for me, when I was a student, I was taking PT exam for study or migration purpose. During my time was most likely for the migration purposes, and at that time I figured out that there's not a lot of PT training center around in Malaysia, and it's something new. So and then I just realized that a lot of students and a lot of people are require help for in PT, which is why I then decided maybe I can start my own training center. It was not planned, but it just showed up. I just ended up with my own PT training center. It was all started casually, like helping friends, and then but I'm very happy with where I am right now.
Okay,
Yeah, so that's
Anshul?
about my story.
All right. So for me, it actually happened with a chance because I was an ex-hotelier. And during COVID, as we know that there was a huge downfall in the hospitality industry. So I just, from the college itself, I had a very good, passion about training students, my classmates, my batchmates, my juniors. So I always had that teaching, factor in me since then. So the other day, I planned for appearing for the PTE exam for migration purposes, and luckily I achieved 90 in PTE. So I got this, thing in my mind that why not to start training the students for the same purposes, because in Punjab specifically, if I talk about, there are so many students who are struggling to get their desired band scores. So of course, I got in touch with IBT, and it has been an amazing institution to help me out in terms of helping numerous students to get their desired scores. And it gives me immense pleasure that I have been handling the cluster throughout India for all the branches of IBT. And yes, so that is how it happened. Like once I achieved the score, so I thought that why not to give the knowledge to the people out there.
Okay. Seçkin, would you like to add something?
Yeah. I used to teach standard exams before, but in Turkey, PT was recognized like 8 or 9 years ago. Now all the universities in Turkey recognized PTE, and you know, PTE has edge over other exams in terms of its flexibility, and they kind of announce the exam results very quickly compared to other exams. So it made PTE a very let's say practical choice, and PTE has become very popular in Turkey among university students. And that's how I actually started, because they kind of have a deadline to catch. So they cannot take other exams, and besides, some other exams are not recognized in Turkey, but PT is recognized. So that's how I started. The demand actually pushed me.
Okay, so what I think of is like a person like having the experience and makes a decision. Okay, I'm gonna start running the PT academic preparation courses, and we might have experienced teachers in the audience, but we also might have some inexperienced one. Maybe we might have people who are thinking, maybe I should consider running the preparation courses, etc. And it's no surprise that sooner or later, especially at the very beginning, we might face some challenges as a trainers. Okay, so something may not go according to plan. There might be some obstacles, and I'm interested, and I'd like to know it. What challenges did you face in this beginning period? And the most important one is, how did you overcome them? If you can share any stories on challenges and the strategies you used in your life to overcome those challenges when it comes to running PT academic preparation course. This time, I'm not gonna select the speaker. Feel free to volunteer.
I could start.
Okay.
This time, at first, my first challenge was its novelty, because not many people knew about it, especially my colleagues. I was just asking what to do with PT students, and you know, they did what's PT? They didn't even know what PT was. First of all, it wasn't very popular, because it is a very new exam compared to others. So I used YouTube a lot, because there are lots of let's say beneficial channels on YouTube. I used YouTube channels plus Pearson's official webpage. I always visit the webpage first, official webpage, to get the let's say correct information before just visiting other, let's say, platforms to get a kind of idea. And my second challenge was we didn't have many books at first. It was, I mean, you know, as opposed to other exams, PT doesn't have, let's say, lots of resources. But what I did was I started to adapt different question types to PT, because it's easy to adapt, like read aloud, like repeat sentence. You don't need a PT book to create that sort of question. And also, scoring was a bit of an issue for me, because I couldn't understand at first, because students are always asking about the scores. Okay, what's my score? You cannot kind of give them the correct information about it. So I usually push them to focus on the result and learning process rather than the score. Because I say, forget about the score. Know English, then you'll eventually get a meaningful score anyway. And my final, let's say, hardship was unusual question types, because we weren't used to like repeating sentences or answering short questions. And what I believe is PTE, as a PTE teacher, you have to prepare your class more meticulously, as opposed to other, let's say, exam preparation classes. That's how I did it. I mean, preparation is very important. I spend a lot of time to prepare my class. So.
Okay, thanks a lot. And before we move on, probably I haven't done it before, because I've got a question. What's my name? Because probably I was too excited with having the speakers. My name is Bartłomiej Janiak, and I'm a member of the Pearson training team, and I'm the moderator today. So this was the first question we get. Sorry for this. So the challenges by Sechkin, and here's solutions how to overcome those obstacles. Okay, anything different or anything similar on your side, Kelly and Anchal?
Okay, so for my case, so at first I thought like PT it's just English language. So I thought like, okay, it shouldn't be that tough. But when I started this, I just realized that a lot of students struggle to speak to the computer because PT it's kind of like a new thing. It's a new, like 6-7 years ago, it's quite a new thing. So, and I just realized that we need to understand our students better because we can speak like naturally to the computer. It doesn't mean that all students can do that. So I think that's my number one challenge, to understand our students um our students better, and also to tweak the way, like to boost up their confidence so that they are being confident in front of the computer. And also sometimes like in Malaysia, like for our students who are not so competent in computer, so we need to brief them in terms of the format, this and that. But eventually I think we eventually adapt, then we understand the market better. Then we not just teaching them English, but like to tell them what to expect and to boost their confidence. Especially for our students from Asian country who are not so used to express ourselves. So it's more like to train them to speak in the public. So we get the students to speak in front of the classes. So I think that helps a lot. That's for
Yeah.
my case.
Thanks a lot.
How, how about you,
Anchal?
Anne?
Yeah, so well said. That is truly a point that was problematic initially. But including that, I feel that algorithm and AI is also a task sometimes because, students are not able to understand the correct algorithm, how they are going to get scores. So that was initially a bit of a task to understand the entire concept of scoring and everything. So gradually, after practicing, after, understanding the entire market, it was quite easier to make the students understand. And as rightly said by you, that that it's not necessary that what result you are getting, it's necessary that how you have to learn about attempting the test. So that also helped gradually that yes, learning ability is something that should always go on.
Okay, so the learning ability, as Kelly mentioned, there is this issue with confidence, how to, especially for some people, how to speak in front of the computer, so, and how to speak in front of the people. And it might be, as Sechkin, you mentioned at the very beginning, loads of questions. And I really enjoyed that you mentioned that you were just asking questions. If you don't know, just you ask question, then you refer to the PTE official website, then you can use some YouTube channels. So it seems that since we are having you right now, you managed to overcome those obstacles and you didn't give up on PTE academic training. Yes, so this is true. And looking at your experience, the question is, what are the most important elements when it comes to running an effective PTE academic preparation course? From your own experience, what would you put into this basket if you have the name Effective PT Academic Preparation Course? What are the elements that you would say that they are the essential parts, and without them, we'll not get where we want?
So may I start? So as we know that everything comes with a challenge, and whenever we are preparing for any of the tests, we obviously face certain kinds of challenges. But in my opinion, what I believe is that a challenge should be taken as an opportunity, that you should be able to grow and overcome your thing that you feel like that you are abundant on, or maybe something that you cannot do. So that should be a bit obvious thing in your bucket, that yes, you should have that opportunity to learn and to overcome your challenge. So that should be one thing which is ideally very important in terms of the entire learning process. So yeah, that's something very important. And yes, absolutely. Like, it's not only necessary that you have to, completely indulge the class in terms of theoretical perspectives, but apart from that, extracurricular activities is also something that is very important, because students, sometimes learn with the perspective of having something extraordinary or something apart from theories that we do in the entire classes. So maybe certain kinds of quizzes or maybe a grammar activity could help and, rejuvenate them from the entire brainstorming and thing that they're doing with the computers while practicing. So that can also help, like having a schedule of, doing different sort of quizzes or something apart from the daily practice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so for my case, I think the most important element should make the class as interesting as possible, because as mentioned, most of the students are either working adults with very busy schedule or students high school graduates. So they are not kids anymore. You can't be like rote learning. You must do this. You must do this. So we try to create a very happy, very interesting, and interesting studying environment. So I think we need to make the content that very engaging, and you need to balance in between whether it's very concise and packed, and at the same time you can put in some sometimes I'll put in rather than teaching them English, you put them put in some music, you teach them lyrics, song lyrics, make the class very interesting so that they will learn it faster and it's more efficient. And you need to balance, you don't make the content too long, but break the big task into a smaller task. And as you all know, PT, there are 20 task types, and if you were to cram 20 task types in a day, there's no way that they are going to do it. So you do it a little bit and also create a little bit of competition in the class so that it's quite fun and interesting, and it will keep them going.
Okay.
And I'm creating my courses, and I just usually focus on the let's say students' needs. And one thing is important about PTE, because when you are teaching IELTS or TOEFL, we're used to them because they have very orthodox question types like multiple choice, fill in the blanks, this and that. But as for PTE, you need to plan very carefully. I myself, whenever I'm teaching, I see something different in even if I'm repeating the same question, I need to prepare my, let's say, lesson a bit more meticulously as opposed to other, let's say, lessons that I'm teaching. And other than that, secondly, the PT sections are short. I mean, the sections are short, but they are all linked to each other, which means you could use the same question type and integrate it to other questions like retail lecture. You can do retail lecture, but you could use the same material for summarized spoken text. Or repeat sentence, use the repeat sentence transcript to use right from dictation, which means you have a lot of ammunition to use. You don't have to spend them. I mean, I just try to integrate different question types into the others. And also, there are a lot of question types in PTE. It's not like we have multiple choice and fill in the blanks, which means that I usually prefer a kind of spiral curriculum, which means I touch different skills in one lesson, because in let's say other exams, okay, this is multiple choice, you do it and you pass it, you move on to the other section. But in PT, you can't do that. If you focus on read aloud and just spend like 2 months focusing on the other skills, and by the time you finish the course, the students will already forget about what read aloud was. So you need to have a kind of spiral curriculum, go back and refresh memories and go forward. And also another important thing is PT, I guess, requires more self-study than other exams. So we need to prepare a portfolio for the student. We need to give the student a kind of clear path to follow, and homeworks and assignments are really very important.
Okay, so it brings me to another question, because as you mentioned, there was this confidence, there was this challenge of not giving up, going in circles, and as Kelly mentioned, they are no longer kids, adults, or the graduate students. And then, Seckin, you mentioned that there is an element of self-study, which I totally believe, because once you prepare towards an exam, you need to put some element of work. It's not like you attend the lesson and in between the lessons, you're just doing something different and the knowledge, as if by magic, just creates itself. So what pieces of advice would you give to a teacher struggling with motivating their candidates to do individual work? Because there might be a teacher who trains for PTE Academic and the students are not motivated to do the work in between the lessons, that they seem to lack energy or whatever the reason. Anything to share on this one from your personal experience?
So I can add a point here. It happened with me personally as well. So there was a student of mine who was, hesitant in terms of speaking in front of me. So he was not at all confident and motivated that he would be able to speak well in terms of speaking questions. So obviously, as we know that speaking is the main backbone, we can say, for the PTE test. So of course, what I did was I assigned him a buddy from one of my learners batch. So he was a student of beginner. Obviously, when we grow step by step, we face certain challenges. So what I did was I assigned a buddy from my learners batch to that student so that he has that comfort zone with the student and he can, feel free to communicate in front of him and he can have a good conversation with his buddy. So that ways, it actually helped with the span of time, like within a week's time, he was able to speak in front of me as well, which he was previously reluctant or previously not willing to speak in front of me. So, of course, that comfort zone and assigning a buddy for me really helped. And this is something that I usually follow for my students who are ideally not confident in terms of speaking the questions and who feel that they are not good in pronunciation. So the ones who are, doing good in the classes, I assign them to the beginners and then it actually helps in the performance of those students.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I really like that idea, and yeah, thank you for that. I think I should start doing that. And also want to add another point, like yeah, based on my teaching experience, I realized that sometimes whether we mention to the students, sometimes they are being like maybe they can feel the barrier between teacher and students, but sometimes when they speak to the other students, they are more comfortable like talking to other students and they can learn faster as well. But I really like the buddy
Absolutely.
idea. Thank you so much for that.
High five.
Okay.
Students might avoid doing their homework for many reasons, and some of them are unavoidable. We cannot do anything about it. But most of the time, what I observe is they usually find the task a bit difficult, and they feel disoriented because of the nature of PTE, because they are not used to that sort of question types in their education system. In Turkey, we don't have that. Many question types like some write summary or retelling a lecture. We don't have that sort of question types in our education system. So what I do is I start with templates, give them that controlled activities at first, so that they could believe that they can do it, they can manage it. Most of the time, they find the questions more the homework difficult, so they kind of avoid doing it. Especially adults, they feel let's say they lose their confidence, so they don't want to submit a bad homework, so they kind of avoid it altogether. So I give them controlled homework with let's say lots of models. Okay, do it this way, do it that way. So it's like control, but then I kind of lose the leash as the progress is observed. So that's what I usually do. Give them homework, but it's usually like controlled at first, then kind of give them freedom as the education progresses.
Okay. So it brings us to the to the challenges that the students face. Yeah, so some of them, as you mentioned, they are not willing to submit bad homework for some reasons, and there are some elements that you cannot control because that's private life. Are there any other challenges from your perspective that you see that your students face nowadays when they attend or when they attempt to prepare for PT Academic? So what are the challenges, and how can we support students in dealing with these challenges?
I think for my side, like for my working adult students, some of them working adult with kids and with very busy schedule, it's a bit hard to balance it between work and study at the same time. So what we do is we're providing them with the support, helping them to come up with a customized study plan, and we break into we detail the task for them, what you need to do, and rather than asking them to spend like 3-4 hours over the weekend, we ask them to maybe like spend at least 1 hour or half an hour to 1 hour per day, maybe like half an hour in the morning, half an hour before bedtime. And I think that works very well for them. And also we tell them what to do to come up with a customized study plan. I think that works very well to our working adults. And for our high school students, sometimes they are not very disciplined. I think the customized study plans helps a lot as well. But for our high school students, you really need to follow up with them because maybe they are a bit too young to be disciplined. So rather than chasing after the homework, what we do is we create a platform and we announce, oh, thank you, Kelly, for submitting your homework. Okay, who else not submitting the homework? And they will eventually submit the homework eventually. Yeah. So like giving them a little bit of peer pressure, I think that's helped a lot. That's from my sharing.
So the study plans and just letting them know that you appreciate the fact that they managed to do something, and you also let them know that you are fully aware that someone hasn't done something and you're still waiting just a slight nudge. Okay. Anyone else of you? What would you add?
Absolutely. I completely agree with her. And including that, if we give one-on-one feedbacks to the students on the areas of refinement that they need to work on, so that would also give a helping hand to them that what they actually need to bridge in order to, follow the path to get their desired scores. And at the same time, if in case students are, kind of fussy, or maybe they are not that in discipline, or they are not doing the designated tasks, so maybe certain activities can be done related to that. Maybe we can, organize some group discussion wherein they have to put on certain points. And, looking on to some other students, they obviously try to participate in the discussion. And then apart from that, if in case I take a random test of, let's say, dictation words of some spellings kind of a thing, so that would also help them out if in case, I write down on the board that the star students for spelling today is this, this, and this. So it also gives them a charge that, okay, I can also be a part of that. My name can also be there on the board. So yes, that gives them kind of a motivation, and, they actually feel that, yes, we can also do. So that also helps in terms of overcoming that if in case a student is not giving the 100% in the performance.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be from my side.
And I believe in giving feedback, we need some sort of fine tuning. In other exams, like IELTS, reading is just reading. Okay, I mean, they read. In PT, reading is not just reading. In reading part, there's also some grammar and vocabulary going on. So students are suffering from different problems when it comes to getting ready for PT. Some student might create miracles in reading and writing, whereas the same student might suffer from repeat sentence. So most of the time, their their problems are quite various and varied. So we need, I usually need to give them personal feedback. In other, let's say, classes, I could give them, I could give the same feedback to everybody. It could work. But in PT, more personal feedback is required, I guess, because they have, let's say, different problems due to the nature of the number of, due to the number of question type that PT has.
And what about the situation? Because I assume that you teach online and physical classes. Am I right?
Mhm.
And can you
Yes.
observe any differences between teaching online and teaching physical classes? And is there any chance that some of this element contains more challenges than the others, or they are equally on the challenge level and they are equally beneficial? Or maybe you see some traps, some pitfalls waiting for this training protocol when, for example, teaching online? Just asking for your experience on this. Sechkin?
I believe this is not. I mean, the platform on which you are teaching does not really matter. It's your approach to teaching that matters. When I started teaching, we had the first overhead projector. I was very excited to see it. But you know, most of our colleagues ended up reflecting the fill in the blanks activities on the wall. So what's the difference then? What's the usual technology there? There's not. I mean, there's no difference. So if you are, I mean, I believe the efficacy of a PTE course in a, let's say, very crowded class with poor ventilation will be the same as the online course with 100 participants and the teacher has bad internet connection. It all depends on how you are handling or how you approach to teaching. But I believe online teaching is way better because we are like a DJ as we're teaching, because we're playing and stopping and like showing them the tape script. And we another thing is I believe is maybe it's a kind of secondary importance when it comes to education, but online teaching is environmental friendly. I mean, we don't spend any paper. That's maybe more important than everything here. I think if you design your curriculum based on scientific facts, you will be successful no matter where you teach.
Okay. Anything to build on this, Kelly and Anchal?
Yeah, so before the pandemic, to be honest, we always thought, teaching online, oh, is it effective? So before this, I was quite skeptical, but thanks to COVID, thanks to the pandemic, and yeah, I think online teaching is a very good thing. Like we evolve and becoming better. So the challenging part, like at first, is to make sure like how you conduct. It's like how Sekin was saying, to how you conduct the classes, it matters a lot. So so we learn a lot, and then the most important thing is to keep the Zoom the online sessions as interesting as and interactive as possible. I think the attendance has improved a lot ever since like using the virtual class, because like students don't need to travel all the way to our office, and also like we get to teach students from all around the world, not just from Malaysia, and we get to learn from we get to improve on different teaching techniques as well. So I think it's definitely a good thing.
Okay.
So I think that yes, both of the training methods have individual pros and cons at the same time, and it depends upon the ability of the students whether they are able to grab it offline or online is convenient for them. So that is completely matter of consideration for them, that what they are convenient in and how they are able to learn it in a better way. So maybe for some students, offline classes would be better. That if they see another person performing, they get a chance to learn from them, and they just see and try to mimic them, that how they are performing. And at the same time, online classes are ideally important in terms of some kind of a personal touch, wherein you can have one-on-one sessions, and you can ideally be on students' head that what they are doing, which is ideally not possible in the offline classes, like where you have around of 80 students in a class. For one trainer, maybe, or two trainers, it would be a little hard to look into each and every question, each and every student, sorry. But in online classes, there is an opportunity that you can, sleep into everybody, whosoever is attempting, how they are doing. You can see that how they are attempting. So that's there.
And one of the comments in the chat was, how can we make classes interactive? So you've shared something like the body, the speaking body. Anything else that you normally do within your training protocols to make the classes interactive?
So see, like I already mentioned that making the classes interactive is something which is very important. Like rather than just practicing the entire day, we of course refer to the Pearson's Guide, we refer to the books, that's PTE Expert, which is one of the best books for PTE training to the students. Apart from that, there are, ample of websites that you can refer to wherein the students can actually rejuvenate themselves. They can actually get rid of the hustle and bustle that they have in the classes. We can probably, take the grammar classes, or maybe, vocabulary tests, random tests that we can take. One of the websites is Oxford Online English, which is like the best platform, I believe, for practicing or having the co-curricular activities for grammar, vocabulary, or listening ability. So like Kelly already mentioned that, you can play some songs in the classes. So this can also be an additional tip that the students can follow on the browsers that can help you in making the classes interactive. And including that, podcasts and TEDx talks also play a vital role, because sometimes there are students who actually fail in terms of the listening ability, because they are not able to grab the different accents of the speakers. So listening to the podcasts and TEDx talks can actually help them in terms of improvising their scores.
Okay. Any other tips on increasing the interactivity within the classes? And I liked some of the comments mentioned in the chat, since we are using different online platforms, and the comment and the solution was as simple as it sounds. Use breakout rooms, period. Just allow students to engage, as you can just jump into any room and to enter the conversation with them. So the simple solution at the very beginning of an inexperienced teacher, get practice in the breakout rooms so that you'll have a speaking chance. Anything else that you do normally just to add this interactivity flavor to your classes? Kelly, anything else that you would add?
Okay, so like sometimes we will encourage our students to switch on the video. I think the video is quite important, because the importance of our facial expressions, we get to see them. So, but sometimes like some students, they're not so comfortable to switch on the video, but it's fine. So we will ask them some questions, and so that to make sure that they engage in the class. And also it's always a two-way thing, rather than just like teaching all the time. And sometimes we ask them questions and to keep the conversation going. And I think the duration is very important, because it's not like a physical classes where it can be very tough if the online classes get too long. So we have like a break in between, and then the duration is very important when it comes to online session. That's my thought on it.
Okay, great.
Breakout rooms really work well. I mean, this is the best way. And also, when we are ending the class, I mean, when we finish the class in the last 2 or 3 minutes, we usually kind of say goodbye and then go. But rather than that, maybe it's a good idea to talk about what is going to be covered in the next lesson. So give them some tips. Usually we ask questions to students out of the blue, and they cannot come up with any ideas. I mean, they don't know about the concept. Okay, if you're just through the end of your class, maybe it's a good idea to, okay, in our next lesson, we are going to talk about the universe and how stars were formed. So do some research and come to class having done some, simple research maybe. When they have that sort of, let's say, idea, they'll be readier, for the class. I think that'll work, because most of the time, they are not ready for your question, and the wait time creates a kind of awkward silence in online teaching, because is the microphone not working? So the wait time is a bit crucial here. So maybe giving the topic before the let's say lesson starts could be a good idea.
Okay, so if you think this one, you've never done this before and you want to introduce it to your lesson, just just do it. And I really like what you just said, because this is the strategy used by all the Netflix episodes or the mini films. When the episode ends, all the episode finishes with a 20-second of a prediction of what's gonna happen within the next episode, and then people's like, oh my god, I need to watch it and I need to learn it and I need to Google. So offer some pieces of advice at the end what's gonna happen. And because observing various Facebook groups, etc., there is a question that I wanted to ask you about the time required for the effective PT academic preparation from your experience, because sometimes I observe people posting comments on Facebook, etc. Please help, I have 1 week towards PT academic and I need to prepare effectively. And then I think to myself, what happened with this person the whole year that just passed? But what are your thoughts on the time required for effective PT academic preparation?
So what I believe in terms of preparing for the test is that it is completely dependent on the student's caliber, how easily or how quickly they are able to understand the entire algorithm and the structure of the test. Because I have students of mine who have achieved their desired scores in a week as well. Maybe some of them take 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks. So it completely depends upon the caliber and learning ability of the student, that how easily and quickly they are able to grab, and then accordingly they can think, and then as per the feedback given by the trainers to them, that yes, how they are actually performing in the classes, then maybe thinking that okay, yes, now they are ready for the test. What I think is that one should not appear for the test until and unless they actually feel from within that yes, they are ready for the test and they can definitely get their desired scores. And secondly, the feedback. Feedback is something that is very important. If you can get trained from anywhere, you can get the coaching online, you can get trained from anywhere. There are many sources available online. But what matters the most is feedback. If you're not getting the right feedback, that what all areas you need to actually work on to be right there, so that is something that you need to bridge. So it depends upon the caliber of the students, that how quickly they are able to step the ladder.
Okay. Kelly, what are your thoughts on the effective time preparation?
Yeah, we get these questions a lot. Like every time our students will ask, how long does it take for me to reach my target score? And also like, I have only 1 week left. I want to pass. I need to score 90 in 1 week time. So I think I'm not the only one. Most of you will get these kind of questions. So I think it's like we need to be very honest to our students and being transparent. And I have to say this, like we are not magician. If you don't speak English and daily conversation, how can you pass PT like 79 in 1 week time? So there's no one fixed answer for this. So the duration depending on your target score, your current English level, and your learning style. Okay. So I think we need to be very honest to our students and like to manage their expectation, because after all, we are not magician. And never compare yourself to the others. So some people manage to pass PT in like 1 week time, 2 weeks time, because they might be like a proficient in English. They just need to do some format familiarization. Never compare yourself to the others. As long as you are better, you are improving, you are on the right track. You can't rush the learning process. You must do it. Like you cannot hate it. You cannot hate the process. If you hate the process, there's no way that for you to excel in the PT exam.
Yes,
So that's
and
my
I appreciate the fact that you just mentioned the process rather than the score, as people sometimes fall in this trap of appreciating the score and forgetting about the process. This is the process that they should adore. And as some of on the comments in the chat, some of you wrote, there is no shortcut for learning. And this is like, Kelly, what you mentioned, that the trainers are not magicians. And if students compare with other students and they just listen and see the final score, usually they don't know the story that happened before the score. Okay, so instead of comparing with others, it might be good to compare with yourself that you were the day before. And Sechkin, what's your opinion on?
It is not a pass. It's not a
Yeah.
pass and fail exam because it shows you where you are. So I usually have a kind of diagnostic test. I usually give a student a diagnostic test first, and I see where he or she is. Then I ask him or her her target score, because our universities might require different scores. Some demands 55, some 72. So, and they have some threshold from different skills, like you shouldn't get lower than 96. Sorry, 69. So it all, but I guess you need to be at least B1 if you are thinking of getting ready for PT, because Pearson has already got books for that sort of for these students. B1 expert PT, I guess the name of the book is
Yeah.
expert PT B1. So you need to be at least B1, and if you want to get 55, I guess you need maybe if you're already B1, you need maybe 3 months. But of course, roughly 3 months. It depends on trillions of different factors. But I guess 3 months will do.
Okay, the 3 months, and as you mentioned, we shouldn't fall into these categories because there's several elements taken into consideration. But the level of the student, as you mentioned, is important at the very beginning. And we are not magicians, and as some of you commented in the chat, there are no shortcuts for learning. So and the final one, this is the one. What is your approach towards those allegedly secret tips and these magical strategies that some students learned somewhere via the TikTok, and they come to you and they say that, oh, this is the strategy, and the comment, there is no shortcut in the learning process. What is your approach towards having students coming up with these tips and strategies towards getting a high score in different item types? Any examples from your personal experience might be good.
I mean, I'll share my experience. Yeah, we do have a lot. Like whenever students struggling with something, they start looking for shortcuts. Oh, I Google this one. They said that I do this. I just need to say a lot of like tips, techniques, and normally I wouldn't just say, oh no, it doesn't work. I wouldn't tell them straight to the face. I just say, maybe you want to give it a try, and why are you using the tips and tricks? But like you can do it better. And after all, PT is an English proficiency test, and it's an international exam. How can you pass the PT exam with just like the tips and tricks? Like if you cannot speak good English, the tips, it doesn't bring you to your target score. So we lead them to the right way rather than asking them not to do it. If they really insist wanted to do it, they say, you can give it a try and let me know how it goes. And that eventually they'll then understand what we're trying to convey. And then after trying, then just decided, I will just focus on my learning rather than going on those shortcuts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, because students usually believe in smart work these days. They hardly want to do hard work. They feel like, okay, we just want to have a shortcut in our preparation and we can just get there. Because what I believe is that following the right guidance is something which is very important. Students usually see that, okay, a word of mouth is something that they have heard from somebody, that, okay, this person is following this way, I will do the same way. So it is not necessary that it will work for you as well. So this is something that we need to make the students understand, that the shortcuts or maybe the strategies that we are looking for may not work for you ideally. And on top of it, following the right PTE score guide is something that that will show them the right path in terms of preparation of the test. Because ultimately, yes, if they are convincing, we are, something that we cannot help on. So once they appear for the test, they themselves realize, okay, that this is something that we have done wrong. So then they come back and they follow the right path in terms of preparation. So that is what they do. Obviously, following the PTE score guide is the best way to prepare for the test. This is what I believe, and I train my colleagues for the same perspective.
Okay.
You could benefit from some hacks to some extent, but here to some extent is very important, because if you're aiming at 65 and with these hacks you get 55, you cannot make it 65 forever based on these hacks. So in order to improve, you need to copy and imitate, of course, some structures. That's for sure. That's part of learning. But if you are not creating your original version of your English at the end of the day, you will never get your desired score. Because I have students, let's say, who keep getting 50 and they want 55, and they are using some different templates. I'm telling them, okay, you have to change something. And if you keep using that templates, maybe you're getting some scores, but you are not improving, and you're going to keep getting 50 after all. So these hacks, in every exam, there are hacks. I mean, it's not only PT. In IELTS, there are hacks. In TOEFL, in Turkish exams, we have many. But we should focus on the amount of its assistance. So in PT, it's not very big. So we shouldn't overestimate these the role of these hacks. We should allow them to use some templates as a tool to learn, as a tool to improve their own style of writing or speaking.
Yeah, Anchal, you want to add something or no?
Yes, I think that following the right path is something which is very important. And at the same time, if students think that, yes, we can, get on to a certain point by following the strategies or something, then they are not sure that it will definitely help them. And yes, so that is there. That should be something which should be taken care in terms of following the right guidance and the right path. Because
Okay.
I believe that the test is of performance. Obviously, English is also getting evaluated. But what I believe is it is the test of performance, how you actually perform during the time of the test. Because if you won't be confident, if you won't be aware of the particular words, maybe what to pronounce, if you don't know the meanings of the words, I don't think it would be possible to, just step forward in that and then get your desired scores. Obviously, there must be certain kinds of lackings. So if you have to perform well and get the desired scores, so following the right path is something which is very important.
Okay, great. I can see there are a lot of questions, and I will refer to those questions by the end of the webinar, because some of them, they've been already answered in the previous webinar. But that seems to be the question, like, how can they improve their reading skills, and how can they eventually improve the reading score from your own perspective? What would you recommend to those struggling with reading item types?
So this is the question that every second student asks, because some of the students who actually it happens every day. We see every student coming to us, ma'am, we have problem in reading. We cannot do it. We are not able to score well in reading. But they actually don't understand the entire algorithm, that how they can, get scored in their reading from the other modules as well. They don't understand that perspective, that how many opportunities they have apart from the reading questions itself in terms of scoring. Because obviously PTE is such a test that gives you so many opportunities to score. So obviously, apart from your reading questions itself, they must be focused on the question types like read aloud, summarize written text, highlight incorrect words, which are one of the very important questions for the reading scores. And talking about the reading specifically, I think reading a lot is something which is very important. So if the students are not familiar to read, they won't be able to, understand the crux of the paragraphs that they get probably in their reading blanks. So if they don't know that how or what kind of approach they have to use in terms of finding the correct answer, they won't be able to follow the right path. So what I believe is taking time from the entire day for maybe 10 or 15 minutes to read any article or something every day would help them, because that will help them to understand the structure, the cohesion that there is in the paragraphs, and they can actually connect and understand how they actually have to attempt. And apart from that, some of the students actually struggle in terms of vocabulary. They say that I don't know the meaning of this word, how can I solve it? But at the same time, what I believe is maybe an educated guess would also work. Like if you don't know the exact meaning, maybe by reading the sentence, you would be able to understand that, okay, what the word could blurry mean here. So that can also help in that case. And then talking about the reorders, reorder paragraphs, to me, what I believe is it can be sorted out in terms of a puzzle. This is something that I do in my class, in the reading class, that I probably give them the puzzle. Like I give them certain statements which are, blanked and they are not completed, and I just distribute in a group of 3 to 4 people, and I tell them to arrange it. That arrange that in an order, and what do you think could be a storyline out of it? Because ultimately what you have to do, you just have to make it in a chronological order. You have to understand that how you can keep it in sequence. So that will come how, if you are habitual of reading. If you don't know that how it can be structured, how it can be sequenced, I don't think it would be difficult for them if they just understand this thing, that how they have to understand the context. So if they have that habit in them, it would definitely fall in right place.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as we can see, we could spend at least half a day on talking about the reading strategies. And there were a lot of questions about the specific strategies for different question types. And we've just finished a series of 4 webinars on dealing with challenges in speaking, reading, writing, and listening. And the recordings are available in the training website where you can register for the PTE Academic webinar. So if you want to learn specifically about particular skills, please do watch a recording on these skills, and all the recordings are available. I will share the link in the chat in a second to this website. And just a final closing marking to all our dear panelists and PTE Academic trainers. In 1 or 2 sentences, what would you recommend a person who is thinking about running effective PTE Academic preparation courses? What would you recommend them to do, to bear in mind, or to put into practice?
In my country, but people are people, I guess, in the world, I can say, we sometimes let students manipulate our programs. They give us their limitations. Okay, I'm A2 and I want to get 70 and I have 2 weeks. Save me. And we are trying to adjust our program according to the facts that are not scientific at all. So if we are honest to ourselves and honest to our students, we could easily, let's say, improve their skills in reading. And most of the time, we are giving them very difficult reading passages. They cannot do it, and they are asking for a miracle. And we are not magicians, so we keep on just exchanging homework for no reason. So usually we shouldn't, I guess the main point is in Turkey, maybe it's the same in the world, we shouldn't let students manipulate our program. We have a path to follow, and we should follow it in order to help them. It's like I'll keep on smoking, but I don't. I want to live forever. What will the doctors tell you? I mean, same thing. So there are limitations, and there is science. So we should follow it. Thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot, Kelly. What's your takeaway?
So I think most importantly is to understand the market. Like what's your students' market? Are they high school graduates or working adult? Understand their needs, and also like to come up with a program because like you can have one program that suits everyone. So like to see to identify your students' target and to plan up your study content, your learning teaching style and content. And yeah, and also like you can like excel in something in one day, but like always have a self-reflect. Always ask yourself, how can you make the next class better, and keep improving and learning from your students as well. And it will always be a two-way thing rather than just like delivering, like just teaching a one-way thing. So and also communication is very important. Always ask for their feedback, and so that you can keep improving and providing like a better service to the students.
Okay. It seems like a really important question, like ask students, if you were to improve my classes, what would you like to add within my classes? Like being honest and see the reply. Okay. It takes courage, but I believe you could get important intake. Thanks a lot. And Anchal, the final remarks from you.
Yes, well said by Kelly that feedback is something that matters a lot, and including that study planner is something that can be a big help to the students. Like there are students who come from like different desired scores that they want to achieve. Some students may want to achieve 58 plus, some may want to achieve 65 plus, and some of the students come with 79 plus of aim to score. So ultimately, the study planner can actually help in terms of planning the criterias and the question types for the students, which can ideally show them the right path, that how they have to give the time to the particular tasks, and then they can probably improve themselves in terms of performing and preparing for the test. And of course, the right guidance and feedback is also very important at the same time. Like I already said, that if the student is not getting the proper feedback, that where he or she is actually lacking, what all areas they actually need to work on, the graph will never grow. So if you will be showing them the right path, that okay, this is something that you need to work on, this is where you are lacking, so I give you this much of time, I will sit with you, I will give you we will do one-on-one session, and then we'll see that how the graph grows. And that actually helps, when we sit with the students personally on their areas where they are actually lacking, it actually helps them and give them a boost and a motivation in terms of preparation. They feel like that yes, they can do. Maybe at some point of time they are feeling that they are lacking or they cannot do it, but yes, a right guidance and a push of motivation can always keep them going and get their desired scores.
Okay, thanks a lot. And we need to finish right now, because I don't want to keep you any longer, and our lovely participants. So thank you for being with us. Thank you for listening to the wonderful PTE practitioners. And I hope that you found some inspiration. If you have something that you think you might help you in running your PTE academic preparation courses, so take it with you, experiment, learn from the knowledge, ask for feedback, and be honest with yourself, as Seckin mentioned, just to help your students grow in a realistic way so that they could reach their desired score. Thanks a lot. The next session will be on myths about taking PTE academic exam. So it's going to be interesting one. So we'll touch upon some myths and these tricks and hacks, and we'll try to address those strategies, why they work or why they not work all the time. So thanks a lot. Once again, thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Anchal, and thank you, Seckin, for being with us. Enjoy the rest of your day, and looking forward to hearing from you soon. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Bye
Have a great
bye.
day ahead. Bye
Bye.
bye.